Select a national park to create an ink sketchbook painting of. I selected Joshua Tree National Park and used a photo reference for my last rock climbing trip there. Get out your Indent ink, bamboo brush, water, and paper towel. I also recommend having a surface where you can put the ink down and add water as necessary. I am using a plastic lid as a palette and for this purpose. Begin by mapping out the contour lines for the forms in your composition. Do this with some watered down ink. You want to begin lighter and then find areas to emphasize with darker values later in the process. Map in major forms and look for areas where you can generalize. You don't have to try to capture every single rock, leaf, or blade of grass. You want to communicate the overall look and feeling of a place. Large areas of shadow present opportunities to generalize shapes. Areas where a form is being hit by light and coming into sharp relief become opportunities for crisp detail. Next, start mapping in the shadow masses. Begin with watered down washes and get in the overall shadow shapes. Observe how I am using a lighter wash to start. Once you've established a two-value statement, you can begin further defining the shadows. Landscapes show atmospheric perspective. Atmospheric perspective refers to the way that the appearance of objects changes according to distance. Generally, objects that are farther away are going to become less saturated, lighter, and bluer. This is because you are viewing the object through more layers of air, or atmosphere. In contrast, objects that are close to you will have more dark areas and more light areas, which will make them come forward and stand out. I am now defining the darkest parts of the shadows in the foreground, the part of the landscape that is closest to me. I want to reserve these dark values for the foreground in order to create depth. Remember, areas that are farther away become lighter because of atmospheric perspective. I make some adjustments to my background and middle ground, but overall it will stay as a light wash. Approach the forms in the landscape just like the simple forms we have observed in past still lifes. Think of what simple shapes the forms are similar to and work from dark to light. Emphasize core shadows on objects in the foreground. Wet into wet is a great technique for skies and emulating atmosphere. If you're trying to do wet into wet and the ink isn't dispersing, it means you need more water. Be careful not to overdarken the sky. If you add too much ink down, dab it away with a paper towel. Here is my finished landscape. The darkest values are in the foreground, and parts of the landscape that are farthest away are addressed in lighter washes. Try a variety of techniques here, and remember, if your brush is feeling too dry, add water.